Hey there, high-level enthusiasts, marketers, and SaaSpreneurs. JB here, and you're tuned in to the podcast that's all about taking your high-level game to new heights. Each week, I bring in top industry experts who deep dive into the strategies that help you drive success specifically for our high-level users. Whether it's getting more customers, leveling up your knowledge, or supercharging your high level with new strategies, we've got you covered. Today's episode is brought to you by Michael Gorski, the founder of RevForce, and we partnered up on one of the most frequently asked and questions that we get often, which is, what kind of strategy and what does it need to be and how do I make it work for my high level, whether it's for an agency or agency serving their customers. So we put together this episode, which is what you think your strategy should be, but it needs to be, right? We're going to give you some facts and some strategies and some insights to really just double check, poke some holes in the strategy. And we're going to do so by going over 3 topics to support that conversation. First is your milestones drive your mission. Second is who are the software users and what's their purpose? And then third, which what all of our customers and what we care about is results and implementation. Look, we just got back from Michael and his wife at the event. Michael, welcome back, man. Great to see you again. How you been?
I've been great, JB. Thank you so much for having me on, and it's been absolutely fantastic. We left Dallas hitting the ground running hard. It's just been a follow-up game. We met so many tremendous people at the event. Actually had an opportunity to speak with 3 co-founders of High Level. They were there in attendance. And what an amazing blessing that was, just getting an opportunity to chat with the guys, have a bite to eat, and see the direction and the vision of where the company is going and meet some incredible people. There's individuals there that have been within High Level for almost since inception or right as the company got launched. And then there are people there that, they've only been around the block for 2 weeks. But everyone was excited about what this can do for their business. And there's so many angles that you can leverage this opportunity to carve out a business for yourself. And I'm just extremely blessed to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And for those that are wondering what event we're talking about, it was our mastermind, the last one for 2024. It was in Dallas at the Statler, and it was a great, great time. And I had a chance to meet Michael, and we had this deep conversation, just out and about during dinner after the event around new users, experienced users, and expert users. And really the plan for ascension and the plan for growth comes down to the strategy. And there's so many philosophies and hypotheses and theories, and everyone kind of pokes too many holes at it. So I wanted us to get right into it here. But before we do so, Mike, could you share a little bit about you? A little bit like those that don't know you, like, could you share just some context about who you are, what got you into the ecosystem, and what are you
Yeah.
passionate about?
Absolutely. So, like you mentioned, my name is Mike Gorski, and our agency, RevForce, is based in Marquette, Michigan. That's in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And a little bit of background about myself and my wife, Jasmine. We started out many, many years ago in a leadership and personal development company. So that's what we did for a substantial period of time before we started transitioning into providing digital services. And when we were providing digital services, we were leveraging a ton of other different technologies, email marketing systems, CRMs, payment gateways, invoicing, web development hosts. I mean, you name it, right? We were just frankenstacking all these different pieces of technology for ourselves. And then we were trying to do that for our clients, which was extremely a heavy lift because every live environment we walked into had its problems and its fair share of issues. And we had to become professional problem solvers right out the gate to figure out, okay, how do we make this work? And how do we actually drive the business results for the customer and ourselves, right? Because we were a business we were customer zero in my book. So I never deployed something before first testing it on ourselves as being the guinea pig. And we realized there has to be a more efficient way to do this. I mean, my goodness, we live in amazing times, and technology is advancing so rapidly and so quickly. So we had to figure this out. And I have to be honest that the real genius of stumbling upon High Level was my wife, Jasmine, because she was benchmarking different all-in-one platforms, all-in-one softwares. And we were looking at several different other ones. And the one we eventually said, okay, let's go 100% in on was High Level.
Wow.
And it's been a game changer for us. It's been a game changer for our customers that we work with, that we switched out all those old systems and put them into high level. And it's also helped us acquire individuals and teammates who want to become certified admins within the high level ecosystem to also be service providers and help drive small business growth in our region and other places throughout the Midwest.
Yeah. And, you know, you had said a word that popped out to me. And if you're tuning in right now live, go ahead and type in the comments Frankenstack. Doesn't matter how you spell it. Sound it out. Throw a couple syllables in there. Frankenstack. Type it below. And that resonated with me because, you know, we've all, in some way, shape, or form, have put different tools together. And whether we tried super gluing it or we tried just
Duct
hoping
tape,
it
baby. Duct
worked,
tape works. No, I'm just kidding.
you know what I mean? Gorilla glue, whatever it is, duct tape. It's frustrating. And you know, when you had said you guys were trying to find an all-in-one system that you can go all in on, you know,
Yeah.
what I'm assuming is that you know, get certified, become the subject matter expert on, go all in with recommending and also implementing. Is that accurate based on your previous experience?
Yeah, and when we were also part of the benchmarking process, we looked at four main criterias. Number one was the leadership of the company. Who's
Mhm.
at the helm of the ship? And we did a little bit of research on Sean, Vroom, and Robin, and we really liked who they are as individuals and what they represented. The other thing was obviously the product or the platform itself. It had to stand alone in the marketplace. And when you can boast comfortably tens of thousands of customers, millions of users, it works and it works well. The third was the compensation because this is a business. How can you make money or generate income from this? It's extremely important. So, what was the affiliate marketing program looking like, and how can you structure offerings that build on top of this rock solid foundation that has already been placed in front of us, right? And the fourth was the training system, the training and the overall community support, because community is everything, right? Because you have so much information coming at you, and the constant development that this company is putting together for us, that weighed in heavily on what we were trying to do. And we realized with those four parameters, and then understanding the quick deployment to market, is really said like, all right, this is it. We're going in.
Yeah, and I want for us to continue framing this because it's all gonna make sense to our audience. This is all gonna make sense in about a minute and a half, right? Recently, Michael, you and your wife got certified within our ecosystem. It's maybe a ballpark, what, 50 hours worth of training. Then there's, you know, an exam, a written exam. Then there is a proctored exam, a live kind of timed, I think it was like 55 minutes or 60-minute exam. Don't quote me on, but it's very intense. Most people take it maybe
Yes.
once, twice, or even three times or give up thereafter. It's the equivalent of some of the more enterprise softwares that are out there that have long extended journeys to
Hmm.
become certified by levels.
Hmm.
So congratulations to you both. And I continue to frame with that because what we're about to get into is no longer the phase of the shiny object and the potential. It's now actually, we made the purchase to get into high level. We have the idea. Now we have to make it actually happen. And
Right.
as people get into the program, the operating system, the software, they're like, where do I start?
Yeah.
So it's like we hear it every day and we have support and everything, but there's white glove service that's required. So let's talk white glove and combine white glove with Milestones. So for those that are tuning in right now that may have no experience, okay experience, or experts, right? Tell me your thought process around Milestones and the end result that people want, the mission.
Yeah. So everyone comes to high level with different backgrounds. So some people, they understand technology like us, that we're using other pieces of, software before they got here. Others are like, listen, this is my first go at purchasing or getting into a platform like this. And oftentimes they have a preconceived notion of what they want this platform to do for their business. But there's a reason we have what we all have is blind spots. So we think I want this software to accomplish X because people are self-diagnosing of what they want the software, the technology to do from a desired outcome. But then when you start asking questions and you start digging in a little bit deeper, it's like really what you're trying to do is over here. This is why. The why is what you want to do. So for us, when we sit down, whether you're brand new, you just got a subscription to high level, or you're thinking about, getting involved in the ecosystem, it's like, what is your main objective? What is your milestone? And whatever that is for that individual, because it differs on a, situational basis, we say, okay, well, let me see what you got going on. Let's put a strategy together, and then let's put a timeline onto it so that we can start accomplishing that desired outcome for you. And that's really important because some people are, like I said, they are either brand new and it's like, listen, I need a website stood up. I need this and this and this. Okay. For what reason exactly? Well, eventually I want to launch an e-commerce store. Okay. Got it. So now we got to make sure that the foundation is laid accurately before we can start building on top of that and moving forward. And so many times I found that people focus on the maximums when they won't even do the minimums. Foundations, guys, back to the basics. You know what? The basics, and the word fun is in the word fundamentals. So you got to make it fun, because doing the same thing over and over repetitively, but that's where you get your reps in. If you're, those of you that train martial arts, there's certain ways to throw a punch or throw a kick, and it's like you have to do it over and over and over. And you're like, geez, is this really what it takes? Yes. Absolutely. So we have to get to the fundamentals of what you're trying to accomplish. We set a timeline for that. We hit that timeline, or we hit that objective as close to as possible. Obviously, sometimes there are unforeseen variables that we know, but that's why we make adjustments, we make pivots, and then we come back to the drawing board, reassess, and seeing what can we moving forward from there.
Woo. Go ahead and type in the chat. You're tuned in right now. Fundamentals plus timeline equals success. Jot that down below. It's so important because, we get, as entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, as delegates within a business, responsible parties, whether you're a marketer, go-to-market strategist, we get overwhelmed with the end in mind, when really it should be a blend of the overall result, reverse engineer it like we spoke about, Michael, and then put what fundamentals, what basics need to be done, what advances from that, and then what's the timeline? What does that look like from speed to success or working progress? So thank you and you come with a wealth of experience, like you had mentioned to us before you even got into the software world. You were in a wealth of helping other, successful or close to be successful business people to get their dreams from vision to implementation. So for someone that has lost a little faith in their patience with the software components and the ability, and they are maybe like, no one can really do what I want. I have to build it myself, right? We get a lot of that. I can't do it. I have to build it myself, or I have to stick with what I have. What advice can you give that person to maybe shift that thought process?
Well, if you want to build it yourself and you think you can, go for it. First of all, if you're like, listen, what I want, no one out there has. I challenge you to go out there and make it happen, because chances are there's someone else out there that probably needs exactly what you're trying to build, and then you can help the next person. Remember, going back to being customer zero. Think of it how it can work for you and hopefully affect your business. And then when you do test it, or when you do deploy it in a live production environment, track those metrics. Then you'll see exactly if this is working or it's not working. But here's the thing. Everything in theory sounds fantastic. Sounds awesome. And then you get out there and get your butt whooped a little bit and you realize, oh goodness, like this is not exactly how I planned it out to be at all. So that's one thing. The second, I can't stress this enough, and this is probably the hardest thing you'll ever have to learn, and I continue to work on this daily, and not just in what we're doing here with high level and software. Think anything in life. The hardest thing is to keep your belief high and let it stay high, and belief and trust in the process. Because over time, what happens is slowly goes down, it slowly goes down, it slowly goes down. This is why having a community and a support network is so important. I tell my team, because some people that get involved, they don't understand what we're doing. Or like, I don't know if I can do this. I know you can't, but I know you can. So borrow my belief until you start developing your own. That's the key in this in this and everything else, it takes a team. And you'll find out if your fear or your fear is here, and your skill set is here, the more skills you build, the more fear you goes down. So I have to encourage you to get into the technology, and you have to get the time on the water. You got to get those reps in. You're not going to go to the gym and do a couple of push-ups and then you think you're going to build a strong chest. It takes time. It takes time to develop. So that's one thing I can't stress enough is be patient, and also be patient in yourself, because your business can only move as fast as you can, or the systems that you developed that can move on your behalf.
Go ahead and type in the chat. I'm going to borrow your belief to get mine. Going to borrow your belief to get mine. Throw it in the chat, because we have to unlock Michael Gorski's strategy mindset, because that's what this is all about. Like really just laying out all the nuggets and the action items. If you want to learn more, if you are really at about that time that you're like, I'm going to put this plan into place and I'm going to complete it, go ahead and put in there, I'm going to borrow your belief to get mine, right? Now, Michael, what you shared was like about community, and what you shared about was about, like you just said, borrow others' belief, borrows others' knowledge. That's exactly why you were at the mastermind when we were talking. Like, you invested a premium to be there, to be around that, because you could have done a Zoom, or you could have done a YouTube video. It's about the people. So tell me a little bit about being around the right people, the right groups in order to get what you want done.
Yeah, I can't remember who said this, but there's a quote out there that your network becomes your net worth, that basically you become who you associate with. And you have to get in the room with those individuals, right? And so, excuse me, for us, we saw it as an investment. And if you're in business, you look at ROI, whatever it takes for financial and also time. You start thinking through what is going to be the return on that. And you to mention, like, yeah, you can do a Zoom, you can do a YouTube, but like, have you ever like watched like a really awesome concert on YouTube, and then in the back of your mind, you're like, man, what if I was there?
Oh, man.
That
Yes.
looks that looks awesome, right? Like, man,
Yeah.
I should have just got the ticket. They tour only X amount of every time, every years. That when's the next time they're going to be in my area? I should have just bit the bullet and said I would have should have went, because it would have been a life-changing event. People do that for concerts, and don't get me wrong, I love entertainment, I enjoy it too, but yet they want to do the same thing when it comes to their business life. I don't understand the disconnect. Like, you have to invest, right? So, and I was having this conversation with Wesley Williams, your VP of marketing, and he asked me the question like, "Hey, so what was the value like you got at the mastermind event?" And I told him, like, Wesley, I got it in those 2 hours on Wednesday before the event even kicked off, because I was standing in line. We were waiting to get checked in, and then I was just walking around. Then I put my stuff, my wife and I put our stuff at a table. We met a couple folks, and right then and there, we were exchanging information with these individuals. They're showing us other pieces of technology, and here are their snapshots and other things that they're leveraging and working. Like, man, that's awesome. And wow, I told them right then and there. And that was 2 hours before the event.
Woo.
So like I got my money's worth right there. And then not to mention we had 3 more days or 2.5, whatever
Oh,
it was.
it was a week. It was a long week. It felt like a week. It almost felt like a month. It was at it. But if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
if you have, to Michael's point, like if you've ever watched a concert, or your favorite band or your favorite artist came into town and you ended up seeing the replay online, you're like, I wish I woulda, coulda. Go ahead and
Mhm.
type down which artist or which band that was.
Yeah,
Which artist or band came into town and you said, it's okay, they'll be back again, and they maybe didn't come back, or you wish you would have went from what you heard. Let us know
yeah.
below, because we're about to change the direction here and get really deep into getting things done. So I'm going to throw just an example, or a framework here around scenarios, right? So we have people that are on the software, whether they're small, medium, large, enterprise, whether they're a huge influencer with thousands of customers. When we talk about who are the software users and what's their purpose, let's break that down into like a sub account perspective, right? Like sub account meaning like a business using their own account within high level. Um, how do we start to unpack that? Like, where do you start planning? Like, I give this person this user access, and then I need to teach them or get them educated by a professional on this so they could do their job or the result of that.
Yeah, it starts with conversations really, because when you get into the sub account and you see who the users are, sometimes it's a user of one because it's a single guy or a single gal that's like, listen, I just got the technology, I'm the customer, and I'm also the primary user. Fantastic, great. So you wear many hats, the whole thing, right? What is your current technical expertise within the platform? We have to start there because we have to know what the knowledge base is. Are you brand new? Like I've been in it a little bit, or it's like, well, I bought the technology, but my bread and butter is in the social media management and the email marketing. I don't even touch, or I don't do web development or, maybe some other things within the platform. The setting up DNS records and the website, that's not me. Oh, okay. So now I know, right? So if we're looking at doing, web development based work, well, do you have someone in mind that you would like to help on that front, or do we need to get someone on your team that could help with that, right? So
Mhm.
it's understanding roles and responsibilities and technical knowledge. Now there are some people that, like, well, the business owner actually just purchased the technology. They're the decision maker that purchased it, but I got 5 users and here are their roles and what they do. Okay, wonderful. Let's dive into that. Now, how do these people communicate or how do they make each other's lives better? Because we have to streamline efficiencies to make sure that they continue to do their jobs more effectively. And that also eventually leads into the conversation of what are your objectives and what you're trying to accomplish. Well, if Steve is your email marketing and funnel building, uh, aficionado, that's him, that's what he wants to do. It's like, okay, so is Steve really good at what he does? Yes. Well, explain that to me. I need to understand, why is he so good? Well, last time we did previous engagements, here are the results. Fantastic. So what are you looking to do moving forward? Well, this, and this. Okay.
So just
But
to slightly
yeah,
interrupt you here,
yeah.
just want to add a little bit more context
Mhm.
um, for somebody that might be saying to themselves right now, but John, Michael, like, I don't even know what the heck I'm doing. How am I going to ask the right questions? I don't even know what I'm doing. I
Right.
just found this thing out and I fired the last marketing company I had. I just bought the software for myself, or the last company didn't know what they were doing. So I needed to find a specialist. And
Yeah, what do I do now, right? So it's like,
but
okay.
we don't, we like, high levels made for marketers, right? For
Mhm.
subject matter experts that want to teach their customers. It's not like we go out and put content for small business owners or media. Like, we don't go that. We don't do that. So let's now pivot here. Like, you kind of warmed it up, but now, so essentially, and I'm just gonna put it out there, they need to, if you have a big project or you have a project that requires a substantial investment with a substantial result for, whether it's stakeholders or for your client, whatever the case may be, let's just put it out there. You need someone that knows what they're doing, right or wrong.
Absolutely.
Right. So
Absolutely.
let's just call the elephant in the room. Like, Michael knows what he's doing. Right. So we brought Michael on because he knows what he's doing. But Michael agreed to share a story to help others understand what they need to know to help others or help themselves get to help what they need done. Right.
Yeah.
So, Michael, I just want to pivot now. I know this is not what we expected here, but I just
That's
want you to
okay.
put on your expert hat and, for our listeners, let's just assume they don't know what to do and they want an expert to help them. They find you on the certified admin directory,
Mhm.
and let's just pick up where you left off. You're going to ask them a series of questions. You're going to ask them what their purpose is, why they bought the software, how many employees they have, what they want their employees to do. You're going to find their
Mhm.
end result. You're going to
Mhm.
create some milestones. But really, like, is it that easy though? Like, what else am I missing if I'm trying to reverse engineer this?
Uh, I say it's simple but not easy. Because yeah, that process you described, absolutely. It's like, well, obviously, here's what I want to accomplish and here's what I want done. Great, great. We have people that can help you do that. But then it's just a question of, why do you want that done? Why this specific outreach? Well, because my end goal is to acquire a new company, or my goal is to do a big exit, whatever that objective really is,
Right.
like that long-term goal,
That big,
right?
hairy, audacious goal. Like, give us like the end,
Yeah.
like, give us the 5K, the 20K, the across the country end goal you want.
Exactly. And it's like, well, do you want to set up franchises of this thing, right? Or do you want to get acquired? I don't know.
So that your
You're
customer or the customer we're referring to in the example needs to know where they want their finish line to be, like their
a
real
hundred
finish line.
percent. 100%. And then that's where the milestones come in. We work backwards, right? Like fitness is a simple example. Like, listen, if you want to run a marathon, but you never ran a mile in your life, like, okay, big, hairy, audacious goal, right? And then you put the thing together, like, well, okay, so how much, how many miles do we have to run per week to get you up to conditioning level? And then we just chunk it off one at a time. And so, but then again, also understanding that goals, objectives, life situations happen. So you have to be agile in these milestones that we put together. And how we like to do it is when we do an engagement from a service perspective, we give them the deliverable, what their desired outcome is that they wanted, along with SOPs and a video training. So it empowers them to have it as a resource database to go back to. Because I need you to also be agile because I know things move fast. And if you need to make pivots quickly, you can do that.
Got it. So now I'm listening to this as an audience member. You gave me tons of value. You're saying to me that I need to understand what I want the software to do at the end of the day, what I need my people to do to complete that overall goal. And you, as an expert, and there's other experts on the directory, right? We're not, this isn't a shameless plug. This is just you're here. I've invited you to share this story and to help our audience understand it. That, you know, they could hire you, you'll walk them through it. But what's different about what you're mentioning here is that you can keep us on staff on retainer, or we can help you build a team of your own internal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we can train the internal team and they're yours, right? Because you want the people, it's decentralized command, but it's like the people that are the closest to the situation should be able to make decisions because they have the most information. So that way they can pivot, they can move. So, and I think that's empowerment for the business owner and all the other clients as well, because having a dedicated head on deck, so to speak, that can be there, whatever the arrangement is, to continue with those milestones or develop new ones, whatever, if they add a new line of products, new line of services, the business grows or if maybe scales down, I don't know, because it's elastic. There's expansion and contraction and it's cyclical too. So you have to have those people either on site or a re-engagement for a new deployment for our staff members to come in and help assist.
I would say drop the mic now and let's go, but we got more. We got one more topic to go over. Amazing. I mean, I think, I get excited about it because, when I meet a handful of people every day, they share their stories and I say, hey, look, you can pick who you want to work with, but we got a series of people here that can help you. Do your due diligence, interview them, understand what you want. But what I've been missing out on is going a little bit more in depth on what you're going over, which is what's your real end goal? Like, even if you feel that it's not possible, you should still articulate it. And then based on how far you get into the understanding and the reverse engineering of it, you could take it a few levels lower. So let's talk
Hmm.
about, like you mentioned, franchising, right? Let's say you have, a taco spot, and the taco spot, you got enough equity to open up 5 locations, and you're planning on opening up 30 at some point to franchise it out, right?
Hmm.
But you know that you have enough equity to open up a total of 10 locations, but not enough for 30. So what would you recommend in that case? Do they budget or do they plan their systems for 30, or do they plan for a little less, more realistic? How do they go about really like where do they minimum and max out?
Yeah, I think that boils down to their ambition level, right? Because some people are like, yeah, 10 for me is rock solid, and but yeah, you're like John, I want to go 30 or more, right? Um, the biggest thing there is the master copies got to be worth duplicating. So the first location needs to be rock solid. SOPs, onboarding, uh, product or inventory management, marketing, all that stuff, right? Because then you can then use that stuff in other, when you start launching other locations. And depending how successful your first location is, you can have, people buy in, like you can own those new franchises, or you can have a franchisee that wants to purchase those on your behalf. But you provide from a corporate standpoint all the systems and all the support. But when you buy into a franchise, they want to make sure that the franchise model works, it's scalable, it's systematic, and it's duplicatable, right? So if you think through your business, however your business operates right now, uh, and what we often think about from a scalability factor is what you're doing. Can you do it for one customer? Sure. Can you do it for three? Yeah. Can you do it for 30? I don't know. Can you do it for 300? Now we're talking. That's how you know the system that you're putting together is infinitely scalable, economies to scale. Or you're like, you know what, 30 is my max. I'm happy there. And that depends on the business model you're working on and operating in, right? It also depends on margins and other factors as well. However, I always think of it as the master copy's got to be worth duplicating. So make sure you get it right.
I love that. The master copy has to be able
Worth
to duplicate.
duplicating.
Go ahead and type that in the chat. Master copy has to be worth duplicating. Let that settle in. Like, I think it's the fundamentals, right? It's the basics, right? This is how franchises are built upon. And there's books. Like, I was just doing another interview on sales, and I have the books laid out here. I'm like, it's a bunch of books on sales, right?
What you got there, bud? Let me see.
Everything. We got outbound, inbound. We got unbreakable laws. We got six-figure social. We got all the knowledge.
Yeah,
But
there's a really good book out there.
Is it duplicatable?
There's a really good book out there called Michael Gerber's E-Myth for small business owners, and that talks all about systems and system operations. And they reference McDonald's, they reference Disney, they reference IBM, right? There's several businesses that grew infinitely, and obviously they're brand names that people all over the planet know who these people are. There's another book out there. It's called Behind the Arches by John Love, I believe, and that talks about Hamburger University that Ray Kroc set up, and that's how they were able to scale McDonald's to what it is today. So back to your taco stand analogy, you have to understand systems and implementation and then growing it from that perspective. But yeah, if you haven't noticed, I'm an avid reader. I enjoy reading those types of books too, because everything in full disclosure, everyone that's watching this and listening to it or rewatching this, everything I'm sharing with you, I picked up from a book somewhere or at a conference somewhere. You have to invest in your education, and it's a self-directed education. And the best part, High Level has an education for all of us to eat as much or as little as we want based on your hunger level. That's the beautiful thing, but you have to be willing to invest in yourself.
I mean, I had to just let that settle in because, we get into, we could go, the whole who the software's for, what they're going to use it is like a whole 3-hour masterclass on its own.
Oh, no question.
Right. So as we pivot here into what we want as entrepreneurs, agency owners, visionaries, implementers, is results. At the end of the day, results is what we all expect, right? So how do we take the information you've shared, and I'm going to just use it from what your expertise is in, right? Your expertise is in helping people bring their beginning vision to market or their existing vision beyond where they're at now, exceeding their standards. When it comes to having your plan written on the back of a napkin, formalizing into a business plan, formalizing into a strategy with arrows and boxes and workflows and all that fancy stuff, what does it really come down to after you're done doing all the hopes, dreams, styles, fancy stuff? What does it really come down to get the implementation and results done for High Level? Like, forget life, forget business. Like, I'm talking about like high level software, what you deal with every day. Like, what does it take to like get it, like turn on the car and then press the pedal to the metal?
Yeah, definitely resource allocation. And resources are your people or your knowledge, right? So once we get into it, we'll see, okay, here's what we got to do. Let's start chipping off one thing at a time. And I stress the importance of weekly or also like accountability calls because that keeps your belief high and you trust in the process. This goes back to our earlier conversation, right? Yeah, big dream, everything. All right, let's get to work. Let's set the right milestone. Here's the weekly cadence of what should be done by end of week one, end of week two, right? It's basically a project management to make sure that we're hitting the milestones accurately and effectively. And if we're not, what's going on? What's the holdup? And that's okay because we're getting feedback, right? Well, I couldn't do it this week because of XYZ. All right, well, I guess we're gonna have to fix XYZ. We're gonna have to maybe look at your calendar and maybe we need to prioritize what meetings you're taking or what your activity level is because maybe you're focused on the wrong things. So that's one big aspect of it. And then when you get into it, it's like, all right, well, here's how we're going to build out your website. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to grab a snapshot or something out there, or we're going to grab a landing page. We're going to hook it up to an email marketing sequence, and then we're going to run that and see from an A/B split perspective on what's performing most. Right? This is getting really technical.
Yeah, and,
Um,
and and so as we get more technical, in my mind,
mhm.
I might be the only one. I'm thinking this is going to be expensive, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Like, oh, holy smokes! Like, what are we talking here, money wise, right? And again, I'm not going to put you in the spot and say, well, how much does it cost and what is the ballpark? No, I guess can you give us some advice as we start to tighten this up a little bit here? Um, could you give us some advice on how should somebody consider when pricing in their head the value they're getting?
Yeah. Value-based pricing is unique based on the business. And
Say that
here's what I
again.
value-based pricing is unique based on the business.
If you didn't write that down and you're not going to use that for even an objection that comes your way for your agency, you're missing out. I took the note on that. It just hit home for me, right? That is something that is so important because some people will say it can vary. You've gotten real specific. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that was like that aha moment.
It's totally fine because if you're selling high ticket items, like let's say you're a Botox injectionist and your standard sale is $1,200 or $1,500. Okay, how many patients do you see a week? If I optimize your calendar management system to get 3 or 4 or 5 more clients a week by the end of the month, what does that financially look for you? X amount of dollars. Okay, so wouldn't it make sense that 10% of what that dollar amount is, you invest into this system or into this automation sequence? Well, heck yeah, because X amount of dollars more than I'm getting currently right now. Precisely. Now, if I'm dealing with something that's a lower ticket item, that's my average ticket or my average sales cost is $5 or $7 or $8. Okay, well then again, it's based on the business model. But if you're selling financial services that have high margins, or you're selling something that, if I sell one extra house and I'm in the luxury real estate market, if that's what you're doing, and I can get you X amount of bookings because, X amount of bookings will lead into X amount of showings, which will lead into X amount of sales. What's that worth to you? Financially, it's blah, blah, blah. Great. So what you're saying is you'll be okay with a 10% investment or an insurance policy of this, and that's how we can get you rolling for your business. Yes, absolutely. So again, this is going back to what is their desired outcome when it looks like revenue generated for the enterprise, for the enterprise or for the operation, because then we can scale it back and work from there.
So what you just gave us, Michael, in my opinion, my observation is, back of the napkin math. You didn't go into no crazy equation. You shouldn't go into no crazy equation because, right, if you confuse them, you lose them.
Yep, exactly.
You just basically said, look, give yourself some wiggle room that depending on what the value of your customer is or the process of what you're going to get from it, 10% is just the minimum. It may be even more based on the complexity and the resources that you need. But I think that's a very fair way to start. Very fair way. And that's coming from someone that you're quoting this stuff every day, all day.
Especially if this is someone that you're working relatively new for the first time. Let me prove to you our worth. Let me prove to you that this can help you, right? Because then by whatever the timeline or whatever the project timeline is, At the end of it, you can re-engage or disengage. And that's the best part is because two people at the end of the conversation or at the end of the project engagement, two people have to be okay with the outcomes, right? And and that's the biggest thing is you can develop trust in that process, but also as a service provider or someone that you're helping, they get to see how you work. They get to see your level of professionalism. So every time throughout that process, you're gaining value, giving value, you're giving value. And if they want to disconnect afterwards, no big deal. Fantastic. It is what it is. Like I'm not holding people hostage here, right? And nor should you. Please, if you're doing that, stop it. That's not a great way. But again, you can run your business however you want to. But obviously, give people the autonomy to either walk away or say, yes, I want to hire you for the next 30-day milestone engagement because you produce results for us.
Here's what I'll say, and my advice, my personal opinion, my personal recommendation. If you're gonna work with somebody in a project, make sure you like them a good amount as a human being. Make sure you can hold the
Right.
conversation like this. Make sure, their smile or their energy or their personality doesn't annoy you. You got to make sure that there's a compatibility from human to human, because when this human, whether it's Michael, his wife, another admin, or anybody, starts to give you a plan, holds you accountable, a pricing, sends you an invoice, you have to remember as a human what they're doing and the connection you have, because they're actually an extension of your business to help you expand your thought into a real implementation of that business. So, can you close us out with some wisdom, man? I mean, you seem, Michael, that you've had enough experience. You got great energy, man. Can you give the audience some wisdom, and we can start to make our way?
I guess I have to say that going back to the belief factor, you have to believe in yourself. And the more that you get time in the water, you get the reps in, you start to develop that, I can do this. Whether you're doing it for yourself or you're starting to become a service provider for others, or you're trying to grow your business, acquire more customers, you have to trust in that process. So I strongly urge people to when you get in, give this a real go at it. Truly go at it. Some people say like, well, I've tried stuff. It's like the whole Yoda, don't try. There's only do. Do it. And do it in a way that people can see you doing it. They should be seeing your smoke because you are moving, and they should feel your energy, and they should feel your confidence, because no one wants to work with someone that's, woe's me, life is miserable. Who wants to work with that person? No one. And then it's like, so think about that. And also try to be your core customer. Act like the person that you want to do business with, and you'll become that individual, and you will attract those individuals, and they'll just come. It's unbelievable. I can't stress enough. Like, we talked about our earlier conversation. When you get involved in the high level community, whether just, hey, I just purchased a 97 plan or whatever, and I'm just fairly brand new, engage online or offline, meaning come to the events. That's where you meet these people, and you'll realize they're no different than you and I. They've just been doing it a little bit longer. They have some experience. They have some education. The best part, they're willing to share it. Most of them are so generous with their expertise and their knowledge and their insight that you can just have conversations, and you're like, oh my gosh, absolutely incredible. So I can't stress enough that that's really the biggest important thing. And then obviously serving your customer the way they expect to be served, and constantly be adding value to their life and to their business, because their success is your security. Because you continue to shower them with knowledge, you continue to shower them with expertise, they're going to always come back to you for more help and assistance. And also they're going to refer their family and friends because of how you made them feel and how you're able to make their business grow.
Go ahead and help me show some love to Michael Gorski from RevForce, one of our certified admins in our Go High Level community. Go ahead and throw some emojis below in the chats. Let him know that you appreciated his time. If you grabbed the nugget, go ahead and share what that nugget is. Michael, you've been generous with your time. We appreciate it. For those that are tuning in for the first time, or somehow you stumbled on this episode, somehow the algorithm said you better get here right now. If you click the link below, or you're on YouTube, there's a link in the description for your free trial. Go and claim your free trial. You heard it from Michael. You're hearing it from me. We're open, growing, and thriving. Thank you for joining us, Michael. Man, fist pound there, man. It was great hanging out with you. Till next time, we'll see you, and thank you for joining us. Take care.